Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Cabinet Maker Profit System podcast. Hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I've got my Cabinet Maker Profit System sweater on. I just got this made. Today, we're going to be interviewing Cara Woodhouse. Now, Cara is a top designer in New York. By the time this episode goes live, her book might even be coming out. So let's see where we are with that. Listen, I want you to listen to today's episode because I want you to understand what goes on in the mind of a designer, especially a high-end designer and one who's very well known in the industry, very well respected. But when we get a chance to look inside that kind of mind, it helps us first with those of you out there who do your own designs and design work, but also to understand on the architecture millwork side, when we start to see designs coming through, what's going on in the mind of the person that created that? Because that helps you ask the right questions, understand where they're coming from. We all know the word design intent. What does that mean when it comes from a designer, and what are they trying to accomplish? Because everybody's working for the client, right? We're all trying to make things better for the client. So I'm very happy that we got Cara Woodhouse on the show. I think you're going to really enjoy this episode. Don't forget, at the very end, after the episode, we've got questions and answers with Dom. I think you're going to love it. So we'll see you there. Cara Woodhouse, how are you?
How are you?
I'm good. Both of us have big smiles on our faces.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Are you having a crazy busy week?
Always crazy busy. Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Today we're here to talk to you about inside the mind of a top designer. I won't give away too much, but you're in New York. I wonder what a
Yes.
week looks like for you. Maybe that's a place for us to start in a second.
We could do that.
Yeah. Um, hey, Cara Woodhouse, before I get too far into this, who the heck are you? And how is it you come to be speaking to all these cabinet makers and architectural millworkers all around the world?
So I am an interior designer. Amongst other things now, I'm a product designer, a
Hmm.
soon to be author. Um, I have been doing this, what I love, my passion,
Hmm.
for almost 26 years now. It's something that I studied when I was young in school and have been in this field ever since, fell in love with it. And this is where I have landed.
I love
So,
it. So you've been chasing this
yeah.
for a long time. It's not something you just backed into. You intentionally said, I'm a designer. I love this and I want to do more of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, what's your book going to be about?
So my book is obviously about interior design, but it is not just a pretty coffee table book, which it will be, but it is informational.
Oh,
I want to share how to design it, I guess in my style, and don't be afraid to kind of
hmm.
break out and do your own thing and really capture your personality. A lot of people are afraid to kind of go for things. And I explain how to. It will also be a resource guide because I love sharing resources. And a lot of people will show you pretty pictures, but where do you start? Where do you go?
Right.
Um, and it's going to be a mix for everybody. I really want to speak to not just people who would hire me, but beyond, make it really accessible what I do for everybody. And that's really my goal
That's interesting.
is,
Yeah.
yeah.
And a lot of the people that listen to the show are kitchen designers, which is a different type of design, but it's still that design element. And you have to add the tchotchkes and you have to add the things and you have to understand why and how somebody's going to interact with the space because that influences the boxes we're going to build. They're more than just boxes.
100%. We do a lot of kitchen designs, kitchen design, bathroom design.
Of
It's
course.
every project that we work on is that. And yeah, it's related to everything. Every room you could think of, we're going to be kind of covering and going through what to do.
Hmm. I like to remind our listeners on this show that the work that we do is important because it's the last thing people see before they go to bed, and it's the first thing they see when they wake up.
This is true.
right? So you're
This is
setting the tone for their day or for their sleepy time.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But let me back up again. You said you're doing some product design. I'm sorry, I didn't see that in my research. What are you designing
That's okay.
as a product?
So product design. So right now I have a marble collection out. It's a bathroom and furniture collection with ABC Stone. They're based in New York. It's the rock and roll collection. And I have a rug collection coming out with rug art and working on a bunch of other, I'm working on a hardware collection. I'm working on a tabletop accessory collection, just kind of always doing. We're starting to do some investment properties. We're doing a shoppable, rentable home out in the Hamptons and Sag Harbor. So we have a lot of like fun things in the works. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're wondering why you were invited on the show?
Well, I'm here. I want to share and connect
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
so many people.
Well,
I love sharing everything.
well, yeah, and you're probably a lot like me in that I feel like I get more than I give. When I'm sharing, when I'm open, when I'm a student and a teacher, I get so much more than if I just go out there trying to.
100%. Yeah.
So let's start with that question that I posed in the beginning. What does a week look? And again, for everybody listening, first of all, this is on YouTube if you want to watch it, so you can see Cara and I talking and laughing and smiling. But also a reminder to everybody, we're trying to get inside the mind of a top designer, because the designs that flow to us through the job, you have to understand the mindset and the approach and the design intent that has been put together so that we can build the best products we can build. So let me set that as the foundation. Was that okay?
That was great.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So what does a week look like for you?
What does a week look like? So week to week, it's kind of ranges. I actually have, for a lot of my clients, we have set weekly meetings. So I have like a Monday set meeting for one project. And this week, I could tell you yesterday, I was shopping with a client. We went to a stone yard looking for marble to get inspiration because we're doing a major gut renovation, interior, exterior of house, a 6,000 square foot house, and we're doing an extension on it. So just to kind of get them familiarized and get their eyes on basically everything,
Right.
because that's when things kind of jump out because they don't really know what they want to do. So it's my job to kind of explore and show them all the things.
Right.
So it started like that. And then we started shopping for plumbing fixtures, seeing finishes that the client liked and different styles from sinks, faucets, shower, bathtubs, kitchen, the whole thing. So that was yesterday. And then my day continues on though after work because I have two young boys and a husband. So it's like constant going.
Juggling.
And it's my other job after that. And then what did I do today? I basically had like back meetings all day. I have a writer that I'm working with on the book. We had a call today.
Oh my God.
I was working on some partnerships for this investment property today, working on Miami projects that we have two projects down in Miami right now. So we were just, we had a client meeting on Tuesday. Every Thursday I have a meeting out east. Like it's just constant going, checking in with all my employees, putting together to-do lists, tackling, reviewing plans. I reviewed a movie theater today. It's just, every day is kind of just the process, of where we're at with each project, checking in.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what kind of feedback, when you're in the middle of these kinds of days, what kind of feedback or hiccups do you find on the manufacturer side when we're talking about the moldings or the installation? I'm thinking about the movie theater now. I imagine that's more of an architectural millwork type of feature.
I always tell clients, even when before I get hired, I'm like, listen, you hire us to handle everything. But if anyone tells you that nothing will go wrong on a project, that's a lie. I'm like, there's always something will be broken. Something will come in wrong. Something will be ordered. Like something always go wrong, but I'm here to help take care of that so that you don't have to deal with that, So we have things delivered we have third-party receivers when we order for big projects, and we have everything sent to a third-party receiver, and we get lists, and they open and photograph everything. And like a lot of the time things are damaged. So then,
Damaged in
we have
transit.
to.
You mean like something got crushed or
In
pinched?
transit. Yeah. So it's, we have to like handle that kind of thing. And then on site, like us going back to like millwork and things like that. I mean, we're usually good with all that stuff because like you're feeling the space when it's like raw before millwork comes in and all of that. So and we're constantly reviewing drawings and measurement and all those things. I would say like earlier on in my career there were maybe more mistakes that would go on that I thank God have learned from, but that doesn't really happen as much now, but things do go wrong. It's life, it's human nature, and things happen.
Site conditions, product availability.
Yes.
How do you deal with product availability? You're working with me as a client right now, and I say I want these fixtures and I want these, appliances, and of course I can't get those.
We're upfront with every client. We don't tell people like, oh yeah, like we want you to just purchase it and we'll tell you that you could get it. Like we're not like that. So we always we'll tell you straight up, this is the lead time. It's 6 to 8 months out or whatever it is, or 3 months out. And we're always very upfront and honest, but, we're constantly tracking. We're constantly hounding our vendors to like get information. And we really try to stay on top of everything, but honesty is the best part when you're dealing with clients with lead times. And it just is what it is. Before you start a project, you have to say, the lead times are crazy. Some appliances are out a year, so you just have to be upfront and let them know what the situation is. And if it changes, you'll let them know as well.
And not all appliances, from the cabinetry and the architecture millwork side, not all appliances are the same. People think, well, it's just a standard stove. Nah, no. Brand, we just both went, no.
No. Everyone has their own specs. Yeah.
How do you, so on the product mix, how do you deal with substitutions? Do you deal with that up front in the contract, or do you deal with it as you go? Like, how do you prepare me as a client? Hey, there might be substitutions and we need to open, but we can't get slides or we can't get something critical. Where do you deal with that?
I mean, that happens all the time. Like there was a coffee table that we fell in love with. We showed to a client. It was from a company out in Australia, and the client paid for it. And we're going and we're constantly getting in touch with them, and they're not responding. They just like ghosted us and didn't respond. So luckily, thank God we didn't give them a deposit, but we had to tell the client, and we like felt like stupid, to be honest, because we're like, this coffee table, we were in touch with them. They were, but now they're gone. We're so sorry. We just haven't heard from them. We need to go a different route. And we would have to substitute that for something else. Right. So it does come up. It doesn't come up so often, but there are the occasional times where you have to swap things around and, but it always turns out to be what it's meant to be. So,
let's do this, because you've had a lot of experience with this, and this substitution thing, doesn't matter what trade we're in, this happens. How do you open that conversation with me saying, so that thing you wanted, or this thing that we thought we were going to have, we're not going to have?
For a long time, in my career, which is like, it sounds a little funny, I used to feel a little bit like intimidated by some of my clients to have these conversations. And I was kind of felt a little awkward, having some kind of like conflict or delivering bad news. It's just, this is what it is, like, this is my job, and I have to be straight and upfront with my client. And I've gotten way more comfortable with it these days. Right. It's just, this is what it is. We need to get it done. We're moving on. Like, let's make a decision and move on. Like, it comes up and you apologize if things happen like this, but some things are just out of our control and you just have to do the best that you can, you know?
It's interesting. And, you and I don't know each other from our past. We've met just through this process, but it
Yes.
sounds to me like you've moved more into feeling like you're a peer, like you're on an equal playing field with some of these clients who I imagine are very well heeled, very
Yes.
wealthy. But when we get beyond that and we realize, look, I'm here to do a job, you're here to do a job, let's just do the job and
Yes.
remove that us versus them and just say, look, we're on a level playing field here. It sounds like that's your approach now.
Yes.
You don't get intimidated by the fact that they're a Wall Street hedge fund manager who flew in just to see you.
Yes. Yeah.
I noticed your face didn't change at all because Wall Street hedge fund managers probably fly in to see you from time to time.
I've had all types of clients, so yes.
Yeah.
But
yeah. But it's coming to that equal footing. And so people out there that are listening, if you're a designer, or you're the owner of the company and you're helping with all aspects, and you're in a place where you're building something that you think we could never afford this, I better treat these people differently. That's not really the case.
No. Yeah.
Just tell them what it is.
Yes. Yes. You have to remember that.
I noticed something else that you were saying a moment ago was really interesting to me. And this is something I love. You talked about having preset meetings. There was somebody who said, well, just today we had our preset meetings. Was there ever a time in your business when you didn't use preset meetings? You just sort of...
Yeah, of course.
And how did that go?
Not, I guess it worked both ways, but I think our clients also, they really want face time. They want to know that things are moving forward. It keeps everybody accountable, even if we have nothing to meet about, and sometimes that happens. Like I have a set meeting on Tuesdays with a client, and there are Tuesdays that we have nothing, we go on with the builder, the client, and it's us. And they're like, we have nothing for you guys. And we're like, we have nothing for you guys. So we'll cancel the meeting, but it's just good to know that we have that set time and you're just keeping everyone accountable. You're just staying on top of everything. And I really find it to be very helpful, and clients love the fact that they know that that's their day, their time. They have
can leave all their questions till Tuesday at 2 or whatever time you have the meeting, and everybody's just happier.
Yes.
And this comes down to time management, especially the time management of a busy or growing company. We have to manage our time. And the truth is most other people don't manage their time. So it's easy to manage time. Am I giving too much away here? Most people don't manage their time. So I'll tell you how we're going to manage it. They're like, okay. Yeah, I know Tuesday at 2 works for you because you don't normally know what you're doing Tuesday at 2. Right?
It's true. It's definitely true.
Yeah. But when you're as busy as you are with multiple projects going, that really helps. Hey, just on that topic, how are you with time management? Because you have so many different things with different types of headspace. You've got investment, you've got entrepreneurial stuff, you've got just regular operational stuff, and then you've got running your firm, which is another thing. How do you approach time management? You're laughing now.
We've tried every program, app, you name it. We have schedules. We also have, we do these like Excel spreadsheets of like the process of the ongoing things in our projects that we're working on that are kind of like color coded of what's ordered, what we need to check up on, what's missing that we need to order, what we have to check in, all these things, that we know what we're following up and doing. So I don't know. We don't really even have like a exact set way of time management. I think we just get into the flow of, I really pride myself on being very organized. Even when people walk in my office, like, oh my God, this is the most organized office I've ever seen. Everything has its place. Everything is where it should be. Besides the times actually right now, because we're scheming and we're pulling things out of drawers and, it's like craziness all over.
The
creative side, which gets a little messy sometimes, but then we like pull it all together. I think being super organized, communication with your team, and with your projects, your project managers, your clients, it just kind of all figures itself out. And I think also these weekly meetings definitely
Reset
help.
meetings. Yeah.
Because you get
Really,
to-do lists. You get to-do lists for the week, right? It's like, this is what we need to work on, this is what we need to do. So you are managing those tasks, after meetings, you know what you're tackling.
yeah.
But yeah, we have we have a program that we work on, Studio Webware, which helps kind of keep things organized for everything that we purchase for our clients. And there's so many components to it where you could put in when you approve things, when it's supposed to be delivered, dates and things. So you could literally do reports by a click of a button and track everything. And we just try to say, it's just, I don't know. If someone has the exact formula for time management and organization, it's what I thrive on and love. But if someone has a better way, I'm always open to hear more.
Best attitude. Again, that's a student, you're a student.
Yeah.
You're looking for a better way. That's a super strong way to approach things. Because I've always found that when I'm set in my ways in business, I'm like, no, this is the only way we do it. I'm going to get smacked at some point. But if I'm always open to change, understanding, look, we've got a system. It's written in stone. It's just written in sandstone. So we can rub it out and we could change the system later. But this is the system now, because there's always new things and there's always new ways. And if we get stuck, then we're, our business is going to suffer.
I also love getting feedback from my employees too. What could we do better? What, is there something that you find could be more helpful? And we try everything. If people suggest it, we try it. If it works, we continue on. If it doesn't, we try. So it's good. And all my employees, we also have a login where every day they log in, what they're working on, what client, what they're doing. So really keeping on top, tracking everything that's going on.
Yeah. And do you do that through monday.com or Slack or something? What's your internal communication?
No, we did do that. And no one liked those programs. So now again, we have a Google Excel spreadsheet, and we log it in. Everybody has a tab and a date with the times, and everyone logs in, and I'm always checking in and seeing. But it's good because you could go back and you could say, oh, you did that on September whatever, and
you order the
back.
faucets and you say, well, that was 8 weeks ago and now we know where we should be at, right?
Yeah.
Or you said you ordered the faucets.
And it's also in our program in Studio Webware, which also does that. We sometimes double, triple are entering, but accountability, staying on top of things, it's important.
One of the things that we encounter, and it doesn't matter where it is in the world, but we encounter clients who can't make a decision. And I think one of the reasons for that is because it's an artistic process. No matter, some of the people here who make stuff, they might not think it's an artistic process, but we're creators. We're making things. And if somebody can't visualize it, they get stuck. What's the molding going to look like? And is there enough clearance? And I can't understand how I'll look here on the counter and where my mom's toaster goes. And those things are real. You're laughing.
Right. Yes.
How do you unstuck? How do you unstuck? That's not good English. How do you get a customer who's stuck? They're just stuck in their own head and can't make a decision. Do you have any ideas for us on how to move past that and get them moving forward again so the project can continue?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one for, let's say, millwork or kitchens, right? So, pulling together visuals and some examples to show them for people who are not so visual is definitely a helpful tool. Another thing is, renderings, these days you could do renderings to actually show what things will look like.
And they're incredible, aren't they?
Incredible.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is, I really will explain to my clients, I'm definitely not a pushy designer. I don't push things upon my clients ever and say you have to do this and push things on them. It's never like that. It's very collaborative. And when I need to step in, I always explain to my clients, why they should go with something, because people want to know, like, why are you telling me to do this? So I think giving an explanation in great detail of why and exploring the why and the why not, so that they understand both sides to help them make a decision is always, I think, like so helpful, to help make up their minds. And I always tell clients, like, listen, let's say it's where you put the toaster or you want it hidden or whatever in millwork. I always say to clients, like, this is ultimately your home. You're living in it. You're using your kitchen. So this has to function for you. Like, if it was me, I would want my toaster hidden. I wouldn't want to see it. But if you're someone who wants it out on the counter because you use it nonstop and, then that's what works for you. That's what functions for you. And just talking through these different things, literally just like that, and explaining, and giving my opinion. I'm like, this is my opinion, but you need to make up your mind and what works for you. I'm not moving and living in your house. I wish I could because it's so beautiful, but
yeah, of course. So, have you ever had like yourself or one of your designers come back to the office and go, oh my God, the Rubino family just won't make a decision and we're stuck.
Sure.
And now we're just, it's the whole project's not going anywhere. How do you get us out of that? Do you just have a final talk and you say, look, Dom, buddy, you're holding up the whole project? Or what do you do?
Yeah, we could say, listen, like, we need to make a decision. So we need to make this decision by whatever date. And if they're just like, I mean, you could just push people and clients just so much. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely clients that could be really difficult. There are clients that could, like, one meeting, you're talking to them and they're like, I want this and I want that and I want that and I want this. And then like a week later you go back and they're like changing every idea. And they're like, no, I want this and that and that and this. I'm like, wait, but last week you said this, that, and that. I'm like, we got to stick. You kind of got to rein them in and just say, no. Like, let's stay focused. We got to make decisions. Like, this is what we're doing. And you have to just rein them in and take the lead, because ultimately that's why I think people are hired to do this, to take the lead and kind of, bring them in, bring them back and make final decisions,
I wonder if it doesn't come from a place of fear. They're afraid of making a bad decision, so they keep changing their mind.
Sometimes that is the case. Yeah.
Or like me, I haven't submitted to the fact that my wife's really going to make a decision. And I think I have an opinion, and I may have just overshared right there, but.
No. And that too, with like a husband and wife couple, it's like, you come across people where like two people are so opinionated, right? And then they're like arguing and you're just like, oh my God, I'm a therapist right now. Like, stop fighting. You feel like you're like the kid, like, mom and dad, please stop fighting. Yeah. And then, one overpowers the other. Like, there's that dynamic. There's like all these different things, and you have to really get involved to like get out kind of marrying what they both want, right?
And so what do? Do you write it down? I guess your renderings are the place where that comes to life, right?
Renderings and finding a middle ground for people, finding the middle ground of what each person wants and finding like a fair spot to kind of get both of their opinions in and making it work where they're both happy. And it's hard to do. I guess it's a little bit of a crafty game of psychology and experience and all of that, Yeah. And I think that comes over time with dealing with so many different personalities and people that you kind of sense the personalities, or could even spot them a mile away from the first conversation and turn down a project because
I was just going to ask that because it's Tuesday. Yeah. The day we're recording is a Tuesday. Twice this week, I've had conversations with business owners who have clients who are just stuck and they're just eating time now. Like, it's ready. Yeah. It's time to make the decision. These are two business owners in totally different countries, and they've got clients who are stuck. It's the same situation. The client just won't make a decision. They keep coming back asking for more detail and more detail and more. And at a certain point, we either have to cut them loose, like understand from experience, you're never going to be a client. And if you are, you need to be somebody else's client.
Right.
right? That's maybe the best suggestion I can give
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Or look, today's the last day. Today's decision day, or we're not going to be able to have another appointment. I don't. That might be how I say it.
Or or you've gone beyond timing on this. I'm going to bill you for this because we're beyond that. You know what I mean? Where you're like being compensated for all the time that you're spending, where another client, you wouldn't have spent it this much time. You could have worked on a second, third, fourth project because they're just like a time suck for you.
Unbelievable.
So yeah.
It's crazy that you think the same as me. I exactly the same. You're at some point, the client's not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
They're just not worth it. We have to let them go work with somebody else at Home Depot.
100%. And sometimes when that happens, I have to tell you, and I'm a big believer in this, is sometimes when you close a door to a project or a client like that, like a million more will swing open. It's almost like a test. These people just like test you, and it's like you get to a point where like you can't go on, and you just have to say goodbye, and it's always for the best.
How let's sort of wind up as we go through this question, but how important is really clear communication in managing a customer? And I'd like you to give me, I don't know if you have an example in your company of a time when there wasn't great communication with a customer and it got bad. How important is it to have that communication really clear?
So communication just in general in life is important, right? And that obviously that goes into everything, especially work, but communication is everything. I've just found that one, you always want to do it over email. So everything is noted and you could refer, go back to things, as far as decisions or things. I think also taking accountability is super important. And that's something that I've learned in my business. It's like, if you mess up on something or any of that, you just, you say, listen, like clients want to hear, like you taking accountability.
Own it. Yeah.
And just say, and for me personally, like we stand behind everything that we do. If there are issues, I've also had, where things like that, I'm like, maybe there was one small mistake and I'm like, we own that and we'll take care of that, and pay for something that was whatever. And then they took advantage of that and they were like, well, I don't want that. So take that back and take that. And I'm like, no. Like now you're taking advantage and that's not a mistake. And now you're just, not behaving.
Adding to the list. Now you're not.
Right.
That's the mom part of you coming out. Now you're not behaving. And there will be
now you're not behaving. You're trying to take advantage. That's not, my kindness and owning it. You're just, that's not okay.
I like that. That's actually great. To say that. Yeah.
Yeah. But, communication as far as like following up and having things always noted in emails or even a text that you could go back, and everything should be in writing always, measurements, approvals, all the important things. Everything should always be noted. Even if you have a conversation with a client and they're like, oh, I approve that, you always want to email them after and say, just to, put this down in writing to confirm you approve on like, or have them sign off on something, or just have it where you could say, can you please respond with approval, or whatever it may be, just so that you could always go back to, have it there to validate that it was,
Yeah, you have to track it. And sometimes I have to put this on the table. Sometimes picking up the phone is the solution, because you're going back and forth by email or texts or WhatsApp or whatever people are using. And the problem with text and the problem with email is it doesn't convey emotion at all. So they can't see you smiling when you say, finally it arrived. They just, they're like, finally it arrived. Like, no, that's not what I meant. I was happy. I was dancing when I said it. But they didn't, they can't read that in the words, finally it arrived. And, that's probably the most vanilla thing I could say that would be mistaken. But it's sometimes you have to just pick up the phone and talk to a human and get things moving along.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We've covered a lot of ground, Cara.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah. Thank you. When's your book coming out?
It's coming out in 2024.
Do you know the title yet?
We have a working title, but I can't tell you what it is.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. You know what I was hoping. Okay. How can people find you if they want to find you in this big wide world? Just wander the streets of New
So,
York looking for a designer? Hello.
yeah,
Right here.
just shout my name wherever you are, like out a window or on the street. No, so many ways, but my Instagram handle is at Cara Woodhouse Interiors, CaraWoodhouse Interiors. My website is also www.carawoodhouse.com. You could also Google me, you'll find me. I'm there.
Yeah. As I like to say, if you can't find me, you're not looking, right? If you can't find Cara Woodhouse, designer, New York, you're really not trying. You've given up trying. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. This has been great. And what's interesting is that as much as we all, New York is, this is going to sound so obvious. It's famous. All the movies are there. Like Billy Joel sings about it. It's everything. New York, New York. And yet what I hear you say is the same thing that would happen in Wisconsin, or the same thing that might happen up in Ontario or in British Columbia. Like it's the same basic process of taking care of people and running a solid company with systems and trying to get better all the time. So I really appreciate you sharing your insights, because I want people to feel more confident in the things they're doing to move their company forward, especially hearing somebody else is already successful who's doing it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. No, this is so fun.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. And then when the book comes out, maybe we'll have you back to talk about it.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it.
Okay. Thanks, Cara. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too.
Bye. Well. Thank you, Cara Woodhouse, for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Cara's got a lot going on. She's got a book coming out. She's got different product lines coming out. She's an investor as well as a very busy top designer, as you know, in New York. Listen, I hope you got a lot out of that episode. One of the things that popped out of there, and I've got lots of notes here, but one of them is, how do you get a customer unstuck? Have you ever been in a situation where you've got a customer just stuck? And what's even worse is usually they're stuck and it's a kind of job you wouldn't even normally be that interested in. If your average job size is 20 grand, this is an $8,000 customer. And I just told that story, so you know who I'm talking to out there. If you normally do $100,000 jobs, this is a $30,000 job. And for some reason you said yes to them, but now they're stuck. They're just not making a decision. They're just not going forward. It's eating up your time. It's really not a good situation. And so Cara gave us her insight on some of the things to do from that. First is give them visuals and examples. She was talking about renderings. Renderings are very easy to get right now. Very easy, because some people can't see, flat plans on a page. They need to see what it actually looks like. And so you can get walkthroughs done pretty easily with a customer. Give them explanations. It sounds like she actually gives them a very long explanation, but she talks about why and why not with them on making a decision. And it could be on anything, but having a long discussion with them and then telling them and being firm, it's now time to make a decision. Let me add the Dominic Rubino business coach part at the end of that. I think you also have to draw a line in the sand. If you're used to doing big jobs and this job's coming in at 8 grand, wink, wink, you know who I'm talking to out there. There's got to come a time when you just cut them loose and say, I think this is probably a project best suited for Home Depot. Or I think this is a project best suited for so-and-so down the street. What I'd like you to do now is go talk to them, because we're not going to be able to take you anymore. And unfortunately, what's going to happen then is they're going to say, oh, no, I'll sign today. But you got to keep in mind, you might be signing up the wrong customer who's just going to be problems later as well. Anyways, Cara had lots of insight there. I don't want to take away from it. Thank you, Cara, for being on the show. I just loved it.